question is, what, if anything, does it mean that James is potentially going to move in this way and not appear? Because the Clippers being his desired destination, they missed out on Drew Holiday. They were definitely involved in that. They, unless I'm missing somebody, they're out of options if they're looking to upgrade from that Kawhi Leonard, Paul George core that, talented as they are, is underwhelmed in their 4 years together. So I don't know if it matters that James is going to continue to apply pressure, but it appears that that's the direction he's heading in.
You could read it another way today, and again, I'm not reporting this. Maybe you guys both have more knowledge on it, but that like maybe something is in the works, maybe not close, but like, hey, like don't come and be a bigger distraction than you need to be, because with all these dominoes suddenly falling, Damian Lillard, Drew Holiday, like maybe the James Harden domino may actually fall in the next couple of weeks. Because it didn't seem like, from reading the Daryl Morey quotes and certainly reading the Joel Embiid quotes today, like it seemed like they were trying to like throttle down any type of like contentiousness.
I don't know how to read that, because I read, I didn't get to see any video of their comments, but I did read them, like you said. And there was even, I think DA had a line in his part of the story about how Joel Embiid's smile was, as genuine as anybody's in the room, and that Joel's spirit seemed to be in an okay place. Now, obviously, yesterday, and everybody saw this, when the Drew Holiday deal goes down, Troll Embiid, as he likes to call himself, Troll Embiid, tweets that it's been a fun off season. And that's just kind of, that's his personality, but everybody obviously is assuming, well, he's pissed because he, he's not part of any of these deals that are making their team better. Reigning MVP in his prime, coming off an incredible season. Context about Ben Simmons, context with losing Jimmy Butler before that, and now James Harden, a guy that he definitely rocked with, and on a personal level, I believe they continue to be in a good place. But now you don't have your co-star, and you're going into a season where Milwaukee and Boston obviously are head and shoulders above everybody else in the East, and that's just a terrible formula for a guy who is this talented, and really, for being, I think, fair, a guy who's been incredibly loyal to this point to Philly. And not, I mean, Giannis goes out this summer and sends all kinds of messages that the Bucks have got to be concerned, and that certainly played a part. And their motivation to go out and get Damian Lillard, you don't really see Joel doing that kind of a thing. He's made a few comments here and there, but to your point, Slater, I'm not sure right now how to read the mild way that he's reacting to this stuff.
Yeah, I'm a little more pessimistic about Philly's ability to find a deal that's really worthwhile for Harden. And the reason why I wouldn't compare it to Dame is, number one, I think Dame is a better player right now. Like, if Dame hadn't been shut down for the end of last season, he was going to be all NBA. And Harden is still a really good player. He can still really play. He's still one of the five best passers in the NBA. He can still run an offense wonderfully, and there are tons of things he does well, but he's not Dame's level. And more importantly, nobody believed those veiled threats and leaks that Dame was not going to show up if they traded for him, especially a team like Milwaukee, who has a set culture, possibly the best player in the world, certainly the best player in the East, somebody who Dame has been on the record for years saying how much he respects and how much he would enjoy playing with him. There really wasn't any risk there. You guys know, like, you talk to people around the league, no one wants to touch James Harden if James Harden's saying he's not showing up. Like, people believe James Harden's not going to show up because this is now the third time that he hasn't shown up.
I think
in
there's
like
teams
6.5 minutes.
I think there's teams that even if he was showing up, they're like, hey, we're still not interested in trading for you. I mean, forget Damian Lillard. Think about how easily the Drew Holiday market just came together.
Mm-hmm, totally. And that was partly on Portland too. Like, when Portland made that trade, for sure, Portland's ambition was, we are going to flip Drew Holiday really quick. And I think part of their logic there was like, people have talked themselves into and out of and into and out of and into and out of James Harden a million times. They've heard James Harden's name on the trade market with Houston, and then with Brooklyn, and then now with Philly. And you hear these names, you anticipate these names becoming available, and you have all of these meetings for months and conversations for months about, should we get Joel Embiid if he becomes available? Should we get Kevin Durant if he becomes available? and nobody was thinking about Drew Holiday. And I think Portland wanted to capitalize to some degree on the freshness of people being like, oh, Drew Holiday, he's really good. He could be the missing piece. Go get him. And I think that was part of it for Portland. But it's also like Drew Holiday is a beloved teammate who is going to play two ways. And quite frankly, at this point in his career, I think is a superior player to James Harden, taking out all the off court stuff and the the possibility of Harden not showing up, whatever else, like because of the way that Holiday defends, like he was an all-star last year. Like, yeah, the Bucks offense could go stagnant, but he was an all-star last year. And part of the way because he guards and his two-way abilities. So like, I think just based on basketball, Drew Holiday is going to have a higher trade market. But when Harden is saying quietly, he just wants the Clippers, it's just the Clippers. Teams that might be on the fence, that might otherwise try to get in, are going to lean the other way. And we see that happening. I mean, okay, if Sam, do you think there is another team that could emerge, or do you think if and when this happens, it will be the Clippers and that's it? Like, is there, if we're just like, not even based on reporting, if we're just like spitballing, is there a team that you could see saying, screw it, let's go for it, let's get James Harden? Like, could Miami do that?
Yeah, I mean, Miami's the natural one, especially with this level of, perceived desperation, I guess. And by the way, we should have mentioned Jimmy Butler's hair stole the day on media day yet again. But like I joked about off air, Jimmy, I wouldn't blame him for putting a new hairdo together to have a diversionary tactic from a Heat roster in a Heat summer that was pretty bad. And so, yes, who knows? Could Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg roll the dice on James? I don't think so. I don't think that team exists. And everything you said, Fred, lands with me, but also surprises me. And I say that because, you're talking about a guy in James who there's a strong argument you could make that he should have been an all-star last year. His numbers are still fantastic. He had a very good year last year. And then the playoff struggles with quotations around him, they came late, but he had some incredible moments in the playoffs. And I would argue, showed up as much, if not more, than the big fella, who had a hard time in the playoffs as well. The dude can still play at an elite level, but the baggage, if you will, of the past couple of years is something that he's paying a price for right now. I mean, there's just no way around that, from Houston to Brooklyn to the situation in Philly. And not only that, to me, the context matters. You talk about the relationship and the history between he and Daryl Morey, the guy that had his back, more than anybody in the NBA for a lot of years and elevated him to now be sideways in the kind of public acrimonious way that they are. That's all the type of stuff that, like you already said, is going to make other teams want to be hands off. So I don't know where it goes. But I wonder, within all of that, I assume, did you guys hear this commentary and perspective recently from Matt Barnes on the All the Smoke podcast? And I think he might've been with Kevin Garnett, where they talked about, James has got to be careful because this league does not need you. And essentially it was KG, because KG had a great line about how, I think he said, you only have so many wiggles in this league. Like, you can wiggle a couple times, meaning wiggle out of situations, but you wiggle out of Houston, you wiggle out of Brooklyn. Now you're trying to wiggle out of Philly. Like, you wiggle one too many times, you might wiggle your way out the league. And from a guy who certainly knows this league, I thought that was a pretty poignant perspective.